Hello, so this is DevLog4. This week I mainly added a boss fight, which you can kind of see over there. Kind of looks like a Takeshi's Castle wipeout style challenge at the minute, but there's more to it. But I did also add a platform that swaps, which is also going to be utilised in a different way in the boss fight. So you can see here, platform swaps when you jump. Moving on to the boss fight, if you come over here, you have to light these 4 torches. Obviously they don't really light torches at the minute, but you can see the turn on because the ball on the top. Obviously I'll add in actual assets later. But doing that then spawns these in. I should mention the beam as well, does actually kill you, but just haven't been hit by it. So you then ride up on this, jump onto this platform, and then you jump from here onto the boss's head, which you'll now notice has spawned a second beam. I might rebalance this a little bit and move the height down. Also, you can notice the platforms gotten smaller. It's destroyed the ones that used to come around. So it's slightly more challenging now, because when you jump up here and you have to wait, you get hit by that. So you have to like time it more, especially with the fact that these are moving platforms as well. So it becomes a bit trickier. I should mention as well that the torches are time-based, as are the platforms themselves, so you have a certain amount of time. The next bit of the boss fight is it adds this, which swaps every time you jump. So it's like a laser beam, and it swaps between the two of them. So again, you've now got to be even more careful with your jumps, because if I was to jump over a platform here, I'd then have to jump backwards. If I died. It can be quite tricky. Yeah, the boss fight is balanced and it does work, but I'll just carry it on now so you can see how mechanically it works. Some of it might be rejigged a little bit, like maybe the speeds will be changed, or heights will be changed, or things like that. But overall, this is how the boss fight will be. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's quite an interesting design. Like it brings in like every mechanic that I have in my game, kind of thing. Well, most of them anyway. Like moving platforms, platforms that spawn when you light all the torches, laser beams that swap, spinning beams, jumping on enemies and killing them, and so on. You can see down here. Oh, you can't because it's in the editor, but I'll put a console. This comes up because it will load a scene when the boss is killed. Currently doesn't do that, but it will. So yeah. That's pretty much the boss fight, but there's quite a bit of code involved in it, and so many components. Again, I doubt I've done it in the most efficient way. I do have a look at script, so I want to get to look at the character, like rotate just on the x-axis though, so it doesn't like move up and down. Like I'll show you. I don't really want it like slanting up and down in that way. I just kind of want it to follow me this way, not slant or anything, just stay straight. So that's not finished yet, but I'll look into that. It's probably not too difficult. I'm just probably missing like adding an axis or something. As for the boss fight itself, so the boss has these platforms on it, which and the torch is set to it, and it has a command where it's like if all the torches are active, because they're all attached as like children kind of thing, then it'll start the core routine platform spawn, which spawns all the platforms for 15 seconds, and adds and then when their platforms all destroyed, it sets them as false, and it also sets the player to be not a child, because the way the platforms work and then they move is it attaches the player to them as a child. So it stops that so you don't destroy with the platform, because I realised that was an issue quite early on. As for boss fight, platforms have their own thing for the boss fight. I had to add a start position because again, when they destroyed, or when they set inactive, because the start position was just where they started, they would never move because they would be at the end position already and things like that. So it didn't work properly, so I just added a start position in. So slight edit on the platforms there. Boss health. The way this works is you've got like a, just typical boss health and things and a bounce. So it kind of works the same as the enemy heads, but it now has actual health on it. You then have public objects at the floor, sword 1, 2, and jump. And you have it so when it takes damage, it'll take 20 damage. And if health is 40, it will set floor 1 as false and sword 2 as true, which is where the second spinning blade comes in and the floor shrinks. And then this one, pretty much the same thing, but with the jump and floor 2. And then when health equals 0, you just go to scene manager. You also then have an immune state where it turns off the boss collider and the health collider. Waits a bit of time and then sets them both true. So like I say, you can't just spam up there and keep jumping on them. So yeah, that's the way the boss fight works, and I'll just show you the swapping platforms. But I've got these set up. So these are just children on it, and it's got a player input on it. so it can detect when you jump. And then the swap script, which is very simple, just set true and false. I say this took me like 2 hours though. I just couldn't find anything online for it, because the reason I just had it so if platform 1 equals true, then set platform 1 false, platform B true, kind of thing, and then else do this. It just didn't work. So it took me a very long time to figure it out because there is no resources online for this. Which, given how simple and common it is in platformers, I really thought it would be, but yep, apparently not. But yeah, with the boss fight being done, I've added most of the mechanics now. Pretty much I've got the helmet which turns lights on, platforms that destroy after a certain amount of time when you jump on them, and that's pretty much it. I'm probably missing some things, but there's not much more to do. So I can finally actually start making the levels using what I've made. Just make some minor adjustments potentially, and rebalancing and rejigging kind of things, but overall I'm in a pretty good state. Just time to find assets on the asset store, add sounds in, make levels. So yeah, it's coming along. I've definitely got I've got enough stuff here to actually make a game now, which is good. You know, I'm really happy with the boss fight as well. So I know it's not super complex, but I just like how it uses every single mechanic that I've put into the game. So the player has to utilize and think about all of it, rather than just having it. So it's like, you know, oh, the boss chases you, but you have to hit it, or oh, you can jump on his head when you light all the torches. It's like, well, no, I've used like the actual platforms, the different types, the active and deactive things. You know, I've really tried to think about it and get it to be interesting. It's based on like the actual boss itself is based on like Pabu Pabu from like Crash Bandicoot, and Bowser in like Mario 64 and Sunshine, where the platform destroys, or in Pabu Pabu's case, like the spinning. So yeah, it's all based on things, but I've tried to put my own spin on it and make it a bit more interesting in context of my game. So yeah, I'm happy with what I've got.